setting up here on Operation Rock and Roll. We're waiting for Alice Cooper to come on stage, but I caught up with him earlier at his hotel to talk about his new album, Hey Stupid.
In fact, a lot of songs on Hey Stupid have an early Alice feel. I think that's one of the part of the album that I really like. I worked with some writers that did their homework, and they sort of went back to Love It to Death and Killer and listened to those albums and really got influenced by those. And when I worked with them, they were coming up with these chord structures that really hit home with me. And I said, yeah, I don't know where I've heard that before, but I really like it. And it was actually my own original stuff. Snakebite is a very Billion Dollar Babies kind of track. Feed My Frankenstein is just a perfect Alice track, you know. So, I mean, it fits right in there. In fact, when I audition the band, when I put new guys in the band, I don't listen to how fast they can play. I don't listen to, you know, I don't really look at their hair, you know. That's all very much in consideration, but I'm more interested if they can play a song like Under My Wheels and Poison back to back and make them sound like they belong together. That's really a trick. If they can do that, then that's you know, that's a good prerequisite.
Now, obviously, Alice is a very visual character. How far do you take your live show into account when you sit down to write new material?
I have to admit, I cheat towards the stage sometimes. You know, I'll be writing something and I'll go, gee, if I say this, you know, it'll have this meaning. If I say this, think of what it'll look like on stage. You know, I think I find myself bending towards stage a little bit. If it were going to change the whole meaning of the song, I wouldn't do that. But I think that if it's a subtle lyric and it'll mean a lot to the stage, I'll do that. A song like again, Feed My Frankenstein is a perfect stage song. I mean, it's as soon as I got the song, Zodiac sent it to me, Zodiac Mind Warp, and I did minor surgery on the lyrics to make it an Alice kind of song. And I mean, I had already had it pictured what was going to happen up on the stage. That was an immediate one. There are other songs that are a little more subtle than that. You know, how's this song going to work? But, well, I know it'll work. I just don't know how it's going to be staged yet. You know, some songs aren't stage songs at all, but you really must do them. If you get a great producer and you have great songs and a great band, you know, I think we spent probably, I'd say, a month in pre-production, but we spent 8 months writing. And in that 8 months, we kept going back and refining the songs and refining them. There were 50 songs to choose from. You know, we really wrote a lot of things. I wrote with Rachel from Skid Row. I wrote with Duff from Guns N' Roses. I wrote with all these different people. And it really was one of those points where up front I said, look, the best 15 songs are going to make the album, you know. And even though 35 of these songs really had a lot of good parts and were really good, these 15 songs were the ones that were the really best songs. It's funny because, you know, when you meet a lot of people and you talk, you know, you're always meeting the fraternity, the guys in all the bands in L.A. You're bumping into them at parties, at the awards shows, you know, all these functions, you know. And instead of it, let's do lunch, it's always, let's write something. Hey, let's get together, let's do something, you know. Well, all I did was really, I took them up on it. I bumped into Nicky Sixx. I knew they just finished their tour and everything, you know. And he knew I was doing the album. And he says, yeah, let's write something. I said, okay, I'll be at your house tomorrow at 12. Okay. And we went over and we actually did some writing and went over to Mick Mars's house, which is in the middle of nowhere, somewhere up in this mountain. He lives in another planet somewhere. And we wrote 2 or 3 songs, and we came out with one that really worked for the album, you know. And a lot of these guys also, maybe I didn't write with them, a lot of these guys were just perfect for certain parts, the way they played. Like I wanted Nicky to play bass on Feed My Frankenstein, and I wanted Satriani and Vai to play guitar on it, because I thought that combination would be really, you know, it would be a little piece of history there to get Vai and Satriani playing on that track. Slash was perfect for Hey Stupid, because I wanted something real street and really dirty and nasty. You know, if I wouldn't have been able to get Slash, I would have probably asked Keith Richards, because that's the sound I wanted, that real, you know, that real street sound. You know, so I tried to pick the right people for the right songs. That was really the thing. I didn't have a list of people and saying, okay, no, I've got to get all these people. It sort of came to me who should play on what.
Why did you choose producer Peter Collins to work with you on Hey Stupid, and how did he bring out the best in Alice?
Well, you know, Peter was great because he's done so many different things. And at first, after I met Peter, he's such a nice person, and he's very proper. And, you know, when you first meet somebody like that, I immediately thought he doesn't have the edge. I'm used to working with the Bob Ezrins of this world and the Roy Thomas Bakers and the eccentrics that are just, you know, out of bounds, that you have to like keep reeling them back in because they're so out there. And Peter was so controlled, you know, that I was kind of like a little worried about him. I'd never worked with anybody quite that controlled. And I was afraid that we weren't going to be able to get the edge, when I was dead wrong. I was absolutely dead wrong. Once we started working together, there were days when I didn't even come in the studio. He says, I'm going to be doing keyboards and this, and I said, great. I could totally trust him in the studio. And that's very rare that I would ever do that. So, I mean, I would love to work with Peter again. He's a great producer.
Someday they'll put me in a squad car. Someday they'll throw away the key. But till that day I'll be a mad dog, 'cause that's what you want me to be. I'm addicted to the eyes of men above you. I was the one who really tried to love you. One down, one to go, just another bullet in the chamber. Sometimes love's a loaded gun. Red lights, stop and go. What you gonna do when you play with danger? Sometimes love's a loaded gun, and it shoots to kill. Pull the trigger. What you gonna do when you play with danger? Sometimes love's a loaded gun. Yeah!
I've never had to follow trends. Sometimes I've had to go back and follow my own trends. You know, I find my kind of doubling back on certain things. And I've actually been accused of following trends, and I go, wait a minute, I invented that. And I think that people in the press didn't realize that I had invented it, you know. It's very funny sometimes because I'm very aware of it. You know, I look at what I am probably more aware of what Alice does than anybody, because I'm very, very particular about what he looks like and what he does and what he says, especially on record, especially on stage. So, you know, I find that I don't listen to a lot of rock music there. You know, I look at almost everything that was ever a hit for us, and it had a sense of humor to it. Hey Stupid, you know, I mean, it could be very serious, and I didn't want it to be. It's a very serious subject, teenage suicide. But the last thing I want Alice to do is preach. I need to say something about this. You know, I mean, Alice has always gone out of his way not to be socially acceptable and not to have social commentary as far as preaching or I'm for this. And boy, you know, I'm going to save the Amazon and I'm going to do this and all that. I mean, that's all well and good, and I appreciate all that. But Alice has always stayed away from those things. This is one thing I couldn't avoid. When Hey Stupid came along, there was a real connection between Alice Cooper and teenage suicide. I felt there was something involved there that where if I said something, it would mean a lot more than if, say, Tom Petty said it, you know? And it was a perfect opportunity. I wasn't going to take that chorus and write, here she comes down the street with her tight dress and her high heels, you know? That lyric's been written a billion times. But this lyric seemed to say a lot, you know? And I think somebody's going to listen to it.
This area were well documented many years ago. Did it feel good to write Hey Stupid as a positive song from your own perhaps negative experience?
Yeah, as little as I mean, I've never had a suicidal thought in my life. And then I realized I was killing myself over a period of like 12, 13 years, very slowly, and having a great time at doing it too. You know, I mean, 2 bottles of whiskey a day was terrific, and just kept it going. That was suicide, and I never really realized it. Yeah, I was probably talking from, you know, from experience there. There's a line in the song that says, "This ain't your daddy talking, you know I know." You know, I want it out there that Alice is not an authority figure. I don't want to be their preacher, their teacher, their mother, their father. Alice is Alice, the ultimate freak, and even he thinks this is stupid. And that was the point right there. You know, it's not hip to dwell on the death thing. You know, maybe that's very big right now in Europe, is this whole death rock. And but I mean, Alice has always been fun. I make fun of death, but I didn't throw it back in their face and say, "Here, you know, this kind of disarms them." No, it was totally intentional to have those people on, Slash especially. You know, not only was he the exact right player, but his background was perfect for it too. And you know, he's a friend.
Now, Alice Cooper is obviously your alter ego on stage, but do you actually put yourself into his shoes when you're writing?
I have to write for him. I have to be Dr. Frankenstein writing for the monster, you know, or Jekyll and Hyde, and I really have to assume that position on that, because I'm the one that is responsible for him. I created him, and I take him on stage every night, and he really only lives on stage. The only time he ever lives. It's down to a point now where I'm not even Alice until the moment that like tonight when the skull breaks open. I'm not Alice till that happens, and the audience sees me, and then I'm Alice. But right before that, I'm standing there and I'm just like this, and I'm waiting for him. I'm just waiting for Alice. As soon as that happens in the audience, then it's Alice. And as soon as that thing ends, it's just like turning the switch off. He's gone. There are certain things about Alice I don't want to know. I don't want to know where that edge is. I don't want to know where that line is. There's also a very, very thin line between comedy and horror. And Alice walks that. The one thing he does great is he walks that line perfectly. He's right on it. I don't know. I can't do it. He can do it great. He walks right. You never know if he's being cynical or if he's being real, because for 1 second you'll get a glimmer of, oh, I get it, and then you'll go, yeah, I don't trust him. I don't know if he really means that or if he's being funny. And that's the same thing, you know, with the other thing. It's like the Alice personality is something I never want to be able to psychoanalyze, because I think once I know about him, then I'm not going to have any fun with him anymore.
Well, I'm just looking. You start a little fire and baby start cooking. I'm a hungry man, but I don't want pizza. I'll blow down your house and then I'm gonna eat ya. Bring me to a simmer right talk. So baby, shut up and let me drink wine from your blue teacup. Velcro candy, sticky sweet, makes my tattoos melt in the heat. Well, I ain't no David with my flesh on the bone. Alive and skinny like your ice cream cone. Baby, feed my Frankenstein, meet my libido.
I think there's a lot of romance on this album. Might As Well Be on Mars, Loaded Gun, Burning Our Bed, Die For You, I think are all very romantic songs. They always have a little bit of a twist in there, you know. I think if Alice were going to break up with a lover, he wouldn't just break up with her. He would tie her down to a chair and make her watch him burn the bed. He'd say, "This is what I think of our love affair." He'd put the kerosene on it and go, just so she would have to watch, you know, where their sex was being burnt in front of them. You know, to me, that would be the dramatic way of doing it. And that's the way Alice would do it. I wouldn't do it that way, but that's the way Alice would do it.
Any new tricks for the live show?
Oh yeah, lots of new stuff. We went the other way. Everybody was worried about the recession, you know, and like everybody was paring down their shows, going, well, we're going to go out, but we're going to kind of take a half of our show and this, and we'll save money here. We went totally the opposite way. We spent like $500,000 on new special effects. We revitalized the screen that we used to do a long time ago. Only it's a lot more dangerous looking now, and a lot more 90s, and really totally fits in. It's you know what it's like. It reminds me of the technology in Terminator 2. It has that kind of thing where you look at it and you go, wow, look at that. The first night that we did it in Salt Lake City, when I went through the screen, I heard the audience go, wow! It was like 8,000 Bill and Teds. They're going, whoa, dude! You know, because it was something they'd never seen before. And we're used to it, because we'd rehearsed it all this time, and we know what's going to happen. We forget that the audience doesn't know what's going to happen, and so that reaction was great. I was back there going, yeah, they got it, yes. You know, so every night it's really a treat to do something new like that. And then there's something for Feed My Frankenstein that's kind of unique. I don't want to throw it all away. It's just we turn somebody in the audience into Cold Ethel in front of the audience. Hey, stupid! I'm Alice Cooper, and you're watching the Headbanger Ball Operation Rock and Roll special from Dallas. Watch it.